Tim, head on down. I'm guarantee you that's what that phone call is. Hello? No. No way, I don't believe you. Yep. We got Mrs. Berlin, it has caller ID, and she goes, hey, this is Mrs. Berlin. Nah. I'm already hitting record, so you're good. Just shoot me an email so I remember to actually send you the link once it's uploaded. Okay. Hey guys, what are you thinking about this?
Thinking there's some bias going on.
Do you think there's some non-response bias going on? Is that because it said describe a consequence of the non-response bias?
No.
Okay, so they sent this survey out to 500 different families, and they heard from 98. So definitely not everybody responded, right? All right, and we have 76 who said, of the 98 families, 76 out of the 98 said, yeah, I think we should do year-round school. Okay, so if we're going to talk about the non-response bias, we want to talk about how those 98 families who responded are different than everybody else as a whole. What do you guys think?
I think if they might change them more, they might have a higher chance of responding.
Okay? Maybe. Parents who like the idea of year-round school are more likely to respond? I don't know.
Because, I mean, I feel like it's similar to the marathon thing. If you had a bad experience, you're more likely to respond.
Yeah, so I think people who have like negative views about year-round school are the ones more likely to respond, right?
No.
In this case, it's more of a yes and
I
no
think-
question. So like, if really like if you read it,
You'll notice an issue like
Do you get what I'm saying, Blake? The like,
I feel like it's
I have a
because-
rebuttal.
I get it.
I rebut.
you want to rebut?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
I'm saying that since only 98 of the 500 families responded, I'm thinking that like the other 402 are like, that's so stupid. Nobody would say.
I'd be willing to listen to that.
So they don't even bother.
It's kind of the same. I think here's how I think I would respond. This is how I would respond to this. You guys, are there teenagers out there where we send an email and I get a response right away?
Yeah.
Right? You have some who are super into, like, for whom that is a priority. That responding to teachers or whatever, classwork is a priority, right? Okay. In the same way, do you think there are families who make schools a priority more so than other families? Okay. So to me, the people who responded are probably the ones who always respond to school-related things, who are super invested in the schools and would like to see more school. Are you guys comfortable with that idea? Okay. So what I want to take you through is what it would take to get full credit on this question. Okay? I might say something like, the families who responded are probably more involved with the schools.
Or is your reasoning for that like they support the schools more and would like to see it doing more for the kids, basically?
So first I'm talking about how the people who responded than the people who didn't respond. So like I'm making that comparison first.
You have to make that comparison.
I think so, yeah. When it's about a sampling problem, a problem with the sampling, I think you need that comparison. Okay. So now the 76 out of 98, do you guys think that's too big or too small? Compared to the actual percent of people who want to see the year-round school.
Too small.
76 out of 98?
Too big.
Too big. Yeah. I think the people who are involved in the school are going to want more school. Okay? This makes the 76 out of 98 a higher proportion than what is actually true.
But you need to say a higher proportion than what we think is true.
No, because the whole idea is you're trying to think. Your issue is your whole idea is you're trying to use the sample to decide this. You can see this is one where I talk. This is a lesson where I talk a lot. You're trying to use the sample to figure out what's true about the population. So the goal is what's actually true. Cool?
Yeah.
All right, part B. You guys, if I combine the samples, if I took another 500 and combined the samples, would that fix it?
So just having it
No. And I would say we would expect a similar kind of non-response.
Is there are there situations where if you would take another 500, that would fix it?
I'm thinking. I'm not ignoring you.
Proportion, isn't that what all that matters? Proportion will stay the same. It wouldn't stay the same, but there's a good
It would be similar. It would be similar. Yeah. Blake, I'm gonna get back to you on that. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I can't think any off the top of my head.
What did he say?
He asked, is there a time where it would make sense to take a larger sample to fix some sort of sampling bias? And I would say if the problem is the method of gathering that sample in the first place, taking a larger sample is always going to repeat that method. If the problem is, like, you can correct, you're better off correcting for that next sample, correcting what went wrong. Or in this case, because essentially this is what part C is going to recommend we do, how could we fix it then?
Send a note home with the kids.
Okay, so when you say, like, you say that with a smirk on your face, like you think it's funny or something.
No, because I said it and then I realized, like, I don't really give stuff that gets sent home with my parents.
Make it a grade.
Oh, that would work.
Okay, so believe it or not, I'm hearing some really good things here, okay? But I'm going to kind of change what you're saying and make it actually a good answer. Okay. Are you guys with me that whatever way we asked before had non-response? But what if we use different methods to reach out to use different contact methods? To contact the families who didn't respond. Like, follow up with them. Maybe they don't check their email. Maybe they were emailed that survey. So maybe you call them and you say, hey, what's a good way I could send you this survey that you're going to respond to it? Maybe you do door to door. Maybe, like, what you do is you follow up with the families. The way you fix non-response is you follow up and get a response. Does that make sense?
Make sure you.
Exactly. All right. So we keep throwing around this idea of what we really want is, instead of having a one of these types of sampling, we want to use random sampling. And in order for us to really describe random sampling, we should probably understand what the word random actually means. And so, what do you guys think the word random means?
No
No pattern?
Can be predicted.
We've discussed.
Can be predicted?
Can't.
Can't be predicted? Interesting.
Should we write this down or is this wrong?
I haven't heard a good answer yet.
We talked about this last time.
We did. There's a huge hint.
Something that comes from a good sample, or like an answer that comes.
Well, the whole idea is we're trying to find a good sample, so we can't say a random sample is something that comes from a good sample because we don't have the sample yet because we're trying to find that sample randomly.
Sampling without bias.
Sampling without bias. How do I do that?
You do it.
How does that make it random?
Yeah, because that, yeah. Because
Let's say I wanted to get a random sample of people in this room. What's one way I could randomly pick 3 of you?
Roll a dice. Like,
No,
roll, like
Assign some number.
Hold on.
assign.
You want me to roll a dice?
Assign number.
It needs to be.
And it says Landon.
It says 2, so who's in the sample?
1, 2.
9-sided die.
Whoever equates to 2.
Okay, what's the problem? You guys, we got a huge problem here. What
You
is
can roll
it?
2 again, right?
I don't know who's.
Well, that is in and of itself maybe a problem. But you guys, there are 9 of you. There are only 6 sides on this dice. Are you with?
Yeah, give a 9-sided die.
There's no such thing as a 9-sided die.
Assign everybody
1
a
through 10 is
digit.
one person.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
10, like 11.
Random
or
name
like-
generator.
Randomnamegenerator.com.
Yes.
Turns out that a random name generator or a random number generator could work because I can generate a number between 1 and 9. So that's kind of like rolling a 9-sided die because 9-sided die don't exist. I can tell you that 100-sided, 6-sided, 10-sided, 20-sided, 8-sided.
The 8 will be helpful once we take some.
This is the first one.
There's even a formula. I don't know it, so don't ask me. But there's a formula to figure out how many different types of die you can make.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Can you make a 9-sided one?
No.
I mean, kind of. You just get a 10-sided die and then make the 10 roll again.
Sure, that would work. That could have worked for sure. For sure. Okay. Most of my 10-sided die don't have the number 10 on them, believe it or not.
They have 0.
They have 0. Yeah. Just so you guys know, you can buy a pound of dice on Amazon.
How much?
I can't remember. I bought it 10 years ago. Okay. All right. So that would be like 2.2 times as many dice as a pound of dice. Yeah.
How many dimes is 1 pound of dice?
How many what?
How many dimes?
About what's in here, give or take. All right.
They're random. Well, we don't know what random.
What does rolling a dice have to do with random? Because I agree that rolling.
It has an equal chance of.
Okay. So a random sample is a result of a chance process. Okay? And a chance process is not someone walking down the hallway and picking somebody. It is very intentionally using a chance process to create the sample. Okay? Names popping out of a hat is a chance process. You put them all in, you mix them up. You have no idea who's the person picking the names does not have control over which name they pick. If those names are on equally sized slips of paper, if they're thrown in a hat and mixed up really, really well,
So is it like accidental non-randomness can happen? Like,
yes.
Okay.
Well, it's still randomness.
But it'd be like.
But a random sample, just because a sample is random doesn't make it perfect. Random samples are our best chance at making the sample avoiding bias. Yes.
Okay, so this might be a dumb question, but if you like roll a die and like you get a 3, and then you ask like the third person you see that day that question, would that
because you're walking in a specific area where there are specific people.
So typically, Blake, typically how it would work is your population would be numbered in advance. So for instance, I could to get a sample of Grandview Heights students, I could take the roster of the whole school. It exists. It has like 340 names on it. I can have a person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4. Then I roll the numbers and whoever those. So the numbers are assigned before you. So in a way, yes, but no. Because like what happens there is you're going back to this undercoverage of there are people who go to the school that you're not going to run into in the day.
What if you do it by who comes in? Like, you roll the dice, you get like a 73, then could you ask the 73rd person to come to school? Because it would be assigning
Yes.
a number on the order to come to school.
Yes.
That would be random.
That would be
If
stupid.
It was
I actually don't think that's stupid at all.
I mean,
I like at all.
but like.
I think that's a very viable method.
Like,
If I
numbering the students would be way easier, you know? Like, you just number-
yeah, but
That was what I mean.
where I could see some problems of like we're talking about the viability of the sample.
Well,
That would
I
be
mean, if
just
it
as viable.
works, I'm just saying it would be there's easier way.
There, in terms of what the sample, if you did it that way, the sample would be viable. That being said, I don't know if you've ever been there at like 7:57. Who's walking in what order becomes a little bit less manageable, but on its face, it would be a viable sample. Okay, lastly, guys, we need to think through when we take samples. Sometimes we can't, if we sample with replacement, that means we can select the same person twice. Whereas if we sample without replacement, we cannot. Sometimes that's appropriate, sometimes it's not. For right now, you guys need to recognize situations where we sample with replacement or without. Easy analogy, guys, if I put everybody in this room's name on a piece of paper and put them in a hat, I pull somebody's name out, I read and I say, hey, Landon's in my sample. You guys with me? If I keep his name out and I go back and select, I did not replace his name, am I going to draw Landon's name again?
No.
Not at all. That would be sampling without replacement. But if I put his name back in, I could get him twice. There are times where it is actually okay to sample with replacement. We'll talk about those later. All right, now I'm done talking for today.